My first intro to the professional dancing world was the Miami Heat. I didn't make it my first year, or my second, actually. Nothing was intentionally given to me or taking a bunch of classes, but I knew that I wanted to book these kinds of jobs, so I'm like in these kinds of classes.
And you just went on tour.
Yeah.
With who?
The Weeknd.
Awesome.
I just want to be somewhere with no trees.
No trees. What's up, guys? It is Will, aka IMPROV, back with another episode of Not a Podcast. Podcast. But it's not a podcast, though.
Got it.
I'm happy to have this person here today. This person is a very important person in my life. And she's been doing some great things, and we're going to talk about that. Everybody, this is Alex. Wait, how do I introduce you? Is it Alex Marie or Alex? Just Alex.
You say Alex.
Okay. Everybody, this is Alex.
I'm Alex.
She's Alex. You're in town from LA, and you just went on tour.
Yeah.
With who?
The Weeknd.
Awesome.
Or Abel Tesfaye.
Is his name different now?
Yeah, he wants to go by his. I think he's making like a transition, so that what they've told us. So, yeah, it's like a cool,
Okay.
I don't know, identity situation.
And we're going to dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But first, I want to talk about you. You have a very interesting journey in the world of being a dancer.
Correct.
Some of them were very dramatic in terms of people cried at that point. So I cried when you left Jacksonville.
I'm crying.
For sure. Can you just give me a quick rundown of your dance history? Like a quick one, though, because I know it's...
Yeah, it's pretty... it's a long one. Okay. So I started dancing at the age of 4 at Fascinating Rhythm, actually a studio here in Jacksonville. I don't even know if there's still a studio, but they trained me as a kid. My cousin was working there as a teacher, and then she got all of me and my cousins into dance. So that kind of started my journey into dance. I went to La Villa School of the Arts for dance, and I went through a season where I got really burnt out with it, actually. So I trained in all classical styles, jazz, modern, ballet, hip-hop, all of it. Mm-hmm. And then, I got a little burnt out around high school, so I decided to audition for theater. So I went to Douglas Anderson for 4 years for theater.
You did theater?
Yeah, and I did musical theater.
That's why you're always
super animated.
Animated and always singing songs, and you're
exactly.
asking me about plays and things I've never heard of.
But my first intro to the professional dancing world was the Miami Heat.
Right.
And I just remember seeing those girls and being like, I just feel like this fits me. They're Latin and fiery, and they do all kinds of different styles. They do hip hop, they do jazz. Yeah. And I was just and they get to do it in front of, thousands of people.
A lot of people.
And I was just like, that seems dope. They looked like women. It was a brand that I was just really drawn to. So I told Kaven, I was like, I want you to start training me intensely like that. I was like, I want you to start drilling me. And he was like, all right, I got you. So he was on my ass. And I remember going down to audition, and I made it through boot camp. I had to leave all my stuff in Jacksonville, drive down there to Miami for a week, and go through this intense audition process to get all the way to the end and get cut. It was heartbreaking. I came back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't make it my first year, or my second, actually. So I
had no idea.
I did, yeah, that's it. So yeah, my second year, I had gone back and actually moved to Miami, and right when I landed in Miami, auditioned again, got through the whole week, didn't make it.
Oh.
So spent a whole year just training.
You missed the first 3?
No, first two.
Okay.
First two, yeah. My mom, she was just like, I don't know if I can come watch this again. She's like, this is heartbreaking.
How old would you say you were at this?
I was 21.
Wow.
Yeah, just old enough to enjoy Miami and be an adult.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, and then my third time around, I almost did an audition, but a girl who had auditioned 8 times told me, if you really care about something, never give up. And I think that I would never have changed anything, because hearing no like that really built this fire in my spirit. Mm-hmm. And that seed really taught me anything can really be yours if you work hard enough at it. And so, yeah, I auditioned my 3rd year. I made it. Spent about 4 years in Miami, getting my bachelor's degree, dancing for the Miami Heat, dancing for various Latin artists, and then eventually I wanted to go mainstream, more mainstream music, and I knew that I had to do that in LA. So different chapters that I skipped over, but I eventually got to LA, trained, and started dancing professionally in the mainstream commercial world over there. Yeah.
All right, that's a little bit of your dance history, and that's not all of it, but
It's not. It's
okay.
so
Let's get to like how we met really quickly.
Okay.
Because I feel like I was at a pivotal part in that journey.
Yes.
Not to toot my own keyboard.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But before you went to LA, you entered a contest, right?
I did.
You entered a dance contest.
It was kind of a contest. It was a company.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I got to be like your videographer.
Yes, you did.
For your contest entries, and that's how we became buddies.
Yes, that is how we became buddies. So I met Will when I did there was a season between Miami and LA where I came back here to live in Jacksonville to save up money to move to LA.
Right.
And that's when I started like teaching dance classes, and that's how I met Will, because Will started like recording some of my dance classes. And then I had seen Rich Fam, which is a company run by Rob Rich. And it's basically like this international company. People from all over the world are a part of this company. And each year he would hold a online audition where like 500 people would submit. And he would pick one person. One. And I didn't know this at the time. I was like, maybe 5 or 10 will get picked. No, one. And the people who had submitted would go through a process of just like having to learn choreo and submit it overnight, and then learn more choreo that was even harder and submit that, and do like 3 different types of freestyles and submit that, and do like a Q&A on why you think you should be a part of the company. And that's how I met Will. I asked Will if he would record my first submission entry, and he said yes.
You got through.
And you killed it.
I think I remember what it was.
Honestly, I feel like if it wasn't for Will, these visuals would not have been as good as they were, and I don't know if I would have made it through.
My biggest accomplishment was the vlog, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where my true skills came in. I was like,
yeah.
I had you take one of my like cameras or something like that. I was like, hey yo, take this camera with you and just film the whole day. I'm gonna cut that joint up for you. That was the last like thing you had to do.
Yeah. So that was the last thing that we had to submit, was like just a day in the life of ourselves. Will let me borrow his
point and shoot.
His like point and shoot camera, and I just recorded my whole day of just random stuff that I did in Jacksonville, and then he like chopped, screwed, edited it, made it look good, put good music behind it, put good transitions, and we sent that thing off. And I ended up getting selected one out of God knows how many.
It was crazy to find out that you won too. Like,
it was.
I don't know
crazy.
what I was doing, but I remember looking at my phone like.
I remember being in Miami at 4 a.m. and looking at it and
I remember that.
Bawling my eyes out. And shout out to Rob. He sponsored me, flew me out to Spain for a month. I trained with the company, made family, friends that I call family to this day. Rob's like a mentor of mine. He's family. And it also just birthed, like, Will being one of my best friends, because through that, like, we just really got close and got cool. And I feel like all of our friends just kind of started connecting from there.
Yeah, indeed. I think I asked Jure, I was like, okay, tell me how you view LA versus Jax, being lived in both cities.
LA versus Jax, that's so tough to do, because I just feel like, so LA is like, LA, okay, how do you want me to answer this question? Like how I felt living in Jax versus how I felt living in LA, or just the difference between the two cities?
Oh, I would say how you like living here.
Versus there.
Yeah. Or how you like living in each city.
As right now in my life, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. LA and Jacksonville are completely different. When I say Jacksonville, I'm also gonna like encompass like Florida. There's something that we say, like, that I've seen from living out in LA, just dance wise, and that is just that, and no shade, no tea, but like Florida dancers just have like this fiery energy. Like, it's very rare that you'll get a Florida dancer and have to tell them to give you more. So that's something that I'm always like really proud of us Florida dancers, Jacksonville dancers specifically, because we're just so down south. We're so dirty, we're so grimy, we're so in your face. Like, which has been also something that sabotaged me in like certain jobs where it's just like they've been like, listen, like you're doing a lot with your face. I need you to pull it back.
For real?
Yeah, but I'd rather be told as a dancer to pull it back because it's so much easier to do that than to be told like to like
give more.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I'm just like, there's a huge Florida scene out in LA, and honestly, like one of my favorite things to do is to see a Florida dancer that's flourished and made it in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, like my best friend Amari, like she's one of my favorite dancers, and I don't think it's because she's my best friend. I think it's because she just has a performance quality that is not replicated, and I feel that way about all dancers. I feel that way about this community. I feel that way about the crump community here in Jacksonville, about the freestyle community in Jacksonville. I feel that way just about everything here in Jacksonville and in Florida. Like Jacksonville is what created me.
Right.
Like Caven pulled that out of all of us. So when I'm here, I just feel very connected to my roots. When I'm with my good friends, you guys, like, I'll start freestyling out of nowhere, and it pulls that out of me to this day. It always challenges me. Always being here always challenges me. When I get to pour into this community, there is nothing that fills my spirit more. And if we talk about, like, fulfillment, that's definitely an area, like, here in Jacksonville that is very special to me, is getting to teach dancers here, especially in heels. That's right now my favorite style of dance.
I don't think I see you dance outside of a heel.
And just see, I do, trust me. And just seeing what they're capable of, seeing their dreams light up in their spirit. I'm not much of a choreographer. I will tell my friends that all day. That will not be my lane. But when I do get inspired to share a piece of choreography with this community, I think magic happens every single time. So, yeah. And then just being with my family is always a fulfilling that I can never get in LA. Like being with my family, being by the beach, everything Florida is just like home to me. I will say that.
Yeah.
When it comes to being in LA, everything LA is like the tools that I need to sharpen my craft to make it something professional. I think that everyone, like LA is, we call it almost like the transition place for a lot of people. And some people are really like native to LA, so go off. But like it is a very transitional place for people because everyone is talented. It just, if you want to take it to that professional level, LA is just the most beautiful place to sharpen those skills and sharpen your craft. So that's something that I'm very grateful for. The training that I've gotten in LA, I mean, is so intentional, teaches you what it's like to feel like you're on a job, feel like you're in the room, feel like you're on stage, know how to work a camera, all the little details that all the little tiny details that you need to perfect yourself. I feel like LA is great for that.
Fair enough.
And yeah.
There's cool things there.
Yeah.
Everything that's cool is there.
That's cool is there.
So, okay, something I wanted to talk to you about that I didn't get to ask Jure. For a lot of people that not only dance, but like have other art forms and they move to LA to like pursue their dreams and stuff like that, how important is it to have a talent agency? A lot of people don't know about that kind of stuff. Is that a big deal? Like is it make your career hit that next level? Like, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff.
I don't want to speak incorrectly on this, so I'm just kind of going to go from my personal experience, and then I'll kind of touch on different areas. I think that when it comes to specific jobs, and because I just had gone to a Q&A, and they had talked about this in the Q&A. We had a community Q&A, because we're also just trying to pick each other's brains and get on the same page as dancers in the community. But one thing that was said was just like, unfortunately, for some of these big jobs, their production company feels more comfortable going through an agency. They feel like it's more a professional setting or situation. And, you know, I think that starting out, it is really helpful to have an agency. For my personal experience, like, Amari was like sliding me jobs on the side to go to, like auditions to go to on the side when I didn't have an agency. And that's like a win or lose situation. You can show up and they have your name on a list and they're like, excuse me, who are you? You know what I'm saying? So it's like having an agency helps in that, because when I did finally get an agent, my name would be on those lists and they would submit me for these jobs. Another thing that's helpful with an agency is like, they're doing all the heavy work for you. So it's like, they're looking, I mean, if they're doing their job correctly, like they're looking for the jobs that fit you. They'll sit you down and have a meeting with you. Like, okay, what kind of jobs do you want to go for? You want to go for more musical theater? You want to go for more Latin style jobs? Can you work bi-coastal? So they're doing all of this scouting for the jobs for you and already have all your information and are submitting you constantly for different things. So I feel like, what's the saying? Like, the more shots you take, the more
baskets you make.
Right. Like, the more, like, the better you are at getting a chance at getting a basket. You know what I'm saying? So they kind of help you and aid you in that. Some dancers are so well known, like, for example, like an Amari, like, where, like, Amari could have a manager, because at this point, there's a point where you get to sometimes where these jobs know who you are. And they're like, we just want her. You know what I'm saying? So some people have just a manager. Some people, they just kind of do their own thing and represent themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's really what fits and works best for you. I'm signed to Block. I'm thankful for them. I feel like...
Who?
Block.
Okay.
And my first year getting signed to them, I mean, they opened so many doors for me and got so many jobs for me that year. And so it was helpful for my personal experience. But I don't think that just having an agency is the only way to go. I think that there's so many outlets for dancers. If you don't have an agency, you might be wanting to do a little bit more work.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, there's multiple ways. And if you're undeniable, you're undeniable,
Right.
So I don't know.
Fair enough. I mean, no, that does help. You always talked about how important it is to get in those classes, like getting classes to like elevate your skill, your talent, and that's something that you still live by, like going to take classes when you go out to LA and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that a big part of booking these jobs is keeping your skills sharp.
Right.
But I do think that it's important to take the classes that work best for you. And I feel like that's something that I kind of learned the hard way. When you're on the outside looking into LA, you only see what's so broadly mediated. And at the time, it was just like so many different teachers that were like amazing teachers, don't get me wrong. You know what I'm saying? But like, I would find myself getting in their class and feeling like nothing was intentionally given to me, or taking a bunch of classes, but I knew that I wanted to book these kinds of jobs, so I'm like in these kinds of classes. You know what I'm saying? So now I've just learned to take the classes that like I want to sharpen my skills in that area. You know what I'm saying? Like I take weirdly enough, like there was a season where I was just taking a lot of foundations classes because I was just like, I just want to feel more deeply rooted in hip hop. And like when I was like so deeply invested in heels classes, I was like, all right, I want to get back to like a flat sneaker. And at first I was like, I'm just going to take this jazz funk class and that hip hop class and that. And I still felt like my body wasn't fully speaking the language. So I was like, okay, let me go back to the basics. And I feel like sometimes dancers are afraid to do that because we're just like, we're going to be in the classes where the people are watching and the this and the that. And like, now I'm so in love with my craft. And it took me a long place to get there where like, now I'm just like, damn, I just want to be fired. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I have a question for you.
You have a question for me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so how we talked about how I felt about living here in Florida and versus LA. How do you feel your experience within the dance community in Jacksonville has been as a dancer? And as a creative, but you know.
So I think I came in around like 2012-ish, maybe a little bit before that. My god sister, she brought me to like a unified event.
Cool.
And that was like a freestyle event, and I thought I was like the only dancer in Jacksonville.
That's awesome.
No, because I went to a very small school, and so like
just me out here.
I was like, dang, like ain't nobody else seeing you got served or like or stomp the yard or breaking. Like I'm thinking I didn't know any other dancers, and social media wasn't as like prevalent.
Right.
So knowing that there was like so many talented dancers out there before like social media blew up and stuff like that, I was like, wow, like it's bigger, and and some of them are a lot better than I am. So from there, all like I said in like 2 of my other podcasts, all my friends are dancers. And so I feel like this dance community here in Jackson is like shaped part of like my life.
Wow.
Yeah, like
crazy?
that's a big part. It's a big portion of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just now starting to branch out.
Yeah.
But it's been a blessing. It's been amazing to see so many talented people and do incredible things.
Yeah.
Whether it's like in the professional industry or just like there's some of those nights of us dancing where it's iconic to us as a community, like that no one's gonna know about.
Right.
Like there's memories we have from certain sessions or performances and stuff like that, and only we can know about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
My business name came from the dance community. Kendrick gave me my dance name IMPROV,
Okay.
but I use it for like my photography.
And why do they call you improv?
Cause no one knew what style I did. Like
You just get
I was just moving. I had no
you
style.
Music and you was gonna get it.
I had no training. So I just I guess just took from things that I saw. No one knew what I was doing until later.
Okay.
So like it's called like new style hip hop. That's what it's called. But yeah, that's my experience here. Like it helped form me and shape me. Like and from dance, like that's where my other creative outlets kind of bloomed or blossomed. Like a lot of my creativity comes from dance, being a dancer. So yeah, I love it here.
I love it here. I love that.
And Jacksonville's so chill. Like I feel like Jacksonville doesn't get a good rep, but it's kind of chill here.
Yeah.
After going to like Miami and Atlanta, I'm like, oh, these cities are busy cities. Like Orlando, these are busy places. Jacksonville ain't as busy as these other cities. Right. And I feel like I have an old soul. I like chilling. So
right.
I like how we got our thing going on here in Jax.
Good.
So yeah, that's it.
I love that. Favorite style of dance? Go.
That's crazy. Why would you ask me that? That's not fair.
Okay, well, what would you say like is a certain style that's like really influenced your movement? Even though you say like you're all over the place, like what's like a style that like influenced your movement in a big way? Unless you were just really out here just being like whatever.
In general, it's a whatever comes my way that I enjoy. I don't spend a lot of time in dance, but when I do, I don't know. I'm willing to learn or take any style class.
Yeah.
And whatever fits my core, like my DNA, like my body. My body, like, oh yeah, that feels right. This feels right. I'll keep it with me. Okay. So I definitely would say clowning. Like I still need more training in it, but experiencing clowning, I was like, oh. Your
first experience was with Storm.
With Storm.
Fire.
What?
Love. Shout out to Storm. Love you.
That's a great first experience. And then meeting other hip hop dancers down South Florida. Yeah. Meeting some of the Light Feet guys. Yeah. Like I want to go to New York to like experience that true essence. Of,
like the culture.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes because it's not even like what I've learned with like foundational styles and like fundamentals and things that grew up on like street styles, like it's not even enough to just go take a class these days in it. Like being in the culture, in the clubs, in those scenes, like when you're really there, it's like you get this like, I can't even explain it. It's like this fire energy inside of you because you're feeling what it is. Yeah. Like the raw and the real, like the rawness and the realness of it. I'll never forget like one time, I think, were you there? Were you in LA when Boomer did that circle and we all went in the circle? Oh, okay.
Never met Boomer.
Okay, well.
Unfortunately.
He just put us in a circle and just like started calling us out and everyone just started like going rounds. Like, and I think like he put a number on it and I was terrified. Let me go ahead and start off and say that. And I've taken classes from Boomer before, like in Storm, but like I was terrified. But it was just something about the energy in the circle that like, I just felt unstoppable. Like I was like, oh, I get it. Like I was like, oh, got it. You know what I'm saying? But like to grow up in those cultures and learn these styles in those cultures, like has to be a blessing. I mean, like it's something special. So I think that'd be a really cool trip for you if you go.
Yeah, I need to go back. I need to come back and visit you guys rather than y'all visiting us down here.
Yeah, you know, we're dry out there waiting for our family and friends to just come and show us some love, you know? I was speaking to my whole family.
We're being salty today. I want to get into a little bit of what's going on with Abel, the weekend.
Okay.
How did you get this job, and how did you feel when you heard that you got the part? Or is that what they call them these days? The part?
Got the part.
The part? Is that it?
When
That you got the
when
gig?
I got booked.
When you got booked? That's the word. When you got booked, how did you get into that?
So it's crazy that day I actually had 2 auditions. One was for Money Long with J.R. Taylor, and then the other one was with Charm, LaDonna, and she was doing The Weeknd.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just gone to the audition. I think that one was first, and we learned very like modern style type movement. It was boys and girls at the time, and yeah, we did that. And I believe she told us right after that who had gotten invited back to callbacks. So I was just like, okay. And they had let us know, like, they don't always like disclose like the information, but they'll be like, okay, like you'll get a booking from your agent, and it'll be like tour submission, audition for headlining artist, can't disclose the name, blah blah blah. So you like go, whatever. She told us to come back around a certain time for the callback. So then I like raced over to another audition, and I did that audition. I got called back for that audition, but I couldn't stay.
Mm-hmm.
So they just like recorded me, and then I had to make it back for the other callbacks because it was like later on in that day. And she had just told us like, okay, she like taught us another part of the choreography, was just like, don't call us, we'll call you. Like, we'll give it 2 weeks. If you don't hear anything, you didn't get the job. So I was like, all right, period. 2 weeks go by, nothing. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I didn't get the job. Like 2 days after that 2 week span happened, and I get another message from my agent saying, there's another audition, like another callback for the job. We go back to those, I go to those callbacks, and weirdly enough, not to like make it sad or dark, but it kind of like, we'll get into that. But the day before I had gotten called into that audition, I had found out that my dad had gotten diagnosed with cancer. So I was just like really down and not even like thinking about this audition at all. And I remember just talking to my dad and him being like, it's always been your dream to go on a tour. And he was just like, so I would feel terrible like if you didn't go. Like he didn't even say I'd feel terrible. He's just like, you're meant to do this. Like, we've always wanted this for you. This has been your dream since you were a kid. Because honestly, like my biggest dream was like see the world dancing. You know, like that was like one of like my top dreams. And so yeah, so I was like, I ended up going. I poured my heart and soul into the audition. Like I remember the freestyle happening and me just being like, ugh, because like, I was just like full of emotions. And again, another 2 weeks had gone by, and then I'd gotten an email from my agent saying like they just want to use you for the skeleton crew, which is just like a series of rehearsals where like no one's picked. They just want to see what it's going to look like on you. So it was like a bunch of girls in a room, and then at the end of that day of skeleton rehearsal, she had told us who was going to be continuing, and she had told me, and then I was just like, she had to like confirm us, like, are you guys ready to be, like, are you guys okay with being on tour for like 2 months? And we were like, yeah. And then I just remember just being like really excited that like this was just one of my dreams come to life.
Yeah.
Just a new world for me, which is like, you know, it's really like a new world, like spending every 3 days in another city, getting to know 20 at the time, 2 women who are going to be like your family for the next 2 months, living off of a, you know, well, not technically living off of a bus, but traveling. But yeah, and I think that like my biggest blessing from the job was just realizing that like I was standing in one of my biggest dreams, and I was going to be seeing places for my family that has never seen any of these places, and that was just like a huge deal to me, and it still is a really big deal to me. So yeah,
it's cool to actually have your gift take you to these places.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's something about touring that most people wouldn't know? Like in terms of, for being a dancer, I've never toured before for a big artist. I've only been on one big stage experience that was here in Jax. What's something that like people wouldn't know that goes on behind the scenes in terms of like, okay, do you have to like stay within arm's reach of the rehearsal, or like not the rehearsals but the performance location, or like how long are you there for rehearsals and stuff all day and whatever?
Okay, so your first like couple days of rehearsals for the actual job take place in LA, where you're just learning the base of the choreography, and then you get flown out to, so at the first leg of the tour, it was Philadelphia, and they built our stage up on the Philadelphia Eagles' stadium.
Yeah.
And then we practiced that same choreography on the stage. Now, what they don't tell you is like, yeah, you're learning all this choreography, but you can get there and it can be completely different. Like, Abel can come in and be like, yeah, I'm not feeling this, which is what he did. So, like, you know, like...
How often does that happen?
I mean, like, with artists all the time. Like, they're creatives, which I understand, you know, like, we're talking about... I think at first it feels frustrating because you're just like, I just put so much time into these rehearsals, but when you really think about us all being creatives, like, when you're looking at the vision, you're like, but I feel like I can see that. And that's something that I learned being on a tour, or being just, like, on jobs in general, is just, like... everything is subject to change, and when you really stand back and look at the big picture, everybody's job is important. And when you see it all come together, like, I remember when I first watched it on HBO, I was like, holy crap. Like, I was like, this is beautiful. Like, it was like art in its own way. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I get it. It helped me kind of trust my team more. Not to say that I didn't trust them, but I was just more so like, at first you're always just, everything feels so personal. But then when you really look back at everything, you're just like, oh my God, like, this is cool. You know, you're a part of such a big vision, and so many millions and billions of people get to experience it, and it's just, that's something that's so rare.
So don't take it personal.
Don't take it personal. Don't ever take it personal.
If the choreo is changing.
Don't marry anything. Don't marry your positions. Don't think that you are ever irreplaceable.
True.
You know, show up.
Professional.
Show up professional, but show up just ready to be malleable and ready to just be ready for absolutely anything that's on and off the stage. I mean, like, things are constantly changing. We might be, like, on tour, they've added extra shows. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, I think the best thing a dancer can do is just to be malleable and be prepared for every and any situation. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got to go experience that. I'm gonna just let out a little secret. She cried one day just at a park by herself. Yeah, you told me when you
cry a lot at parks by myself. There's so many times I tour I done cried.
Never mind. It's not a secret at all.
Actually, just a fun fact about me, I cry all the time.
All of Italy knows.
Like, when me and Will went to have lunch when I first got here to LA, I swear I cried like 6 times within that conversation.
It wasn't even like crying for me. It was just crying for other things.
Yeah.
That's funny. You also did a few years ago, or a year or two ago, was it not the VMAs? What's the big acting one? The Oscars. You did the Oscars.
The big acting.
You performed at the Oscars. And I don't want to be controversial, but the same year that Will Smith smacked Chris Rock, you were there.
That's true.
And I remember when one of the dance like friends do something like super big, like it's like over all of our pages and we see it everywhere. But I feel like that was like because of the Will Smith Chris Rock thing. It was
brushed to the side.
It was definitely brushed to the side. Like, that was a big moment for my friend, and I could. Your picture came up for the post, but it refreshed, and Will Smith was smacking Chris Rock.
Will Smith was everywhere, y'all. Will Smith was everywhere.
Damn, but okay.
We were just backstage. We didn't even really see it. Like, I think actually no, because they show it backstage on like on TVs. Where I was, there was no TVs, and I just remember someone coming back and being like, "Y'all, Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock in the face," and I was like, "Yo, shut up!" Like. That's a fucking lie. Sorry, excuse my language.
No, you're good.
They were like, no, for real. And the next thing you know, I just look up online, and it was like, bam. And I was like, whoa. And I was like, I missed it. Like, I was so upset. But yeah.
Well, it's great that you've been a part of that history. You shared the same stage.
Tell my kids, remember that one year that Chris Rock actually danced on the stage that time?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because that's going to be a meme forever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are there any other artistic directions you want to head in other than dance?
I don't know if I'd say... That's such an interesting question. I was actually really enough just like journaling about that this morning. Because like right now, I decided to come home to like spend time with my family and to really try to get my ISSA certification, which is like a group fitness training certification. And I just listened to a lot of podcasts, and like this morning I was listening to the guy who created Airbnb, and just like how he was just talking about how like, we just all have something inside of us that's meant for our community. So I don't know if I would just like hone it into like art. I definitely know that there's just more outlets inside of me to be used for our community. And now it's just me being in a deep season of figuring out what that looks like. One of my biggest things was like, the reason why I wanted to get the group fitness certification is because my biggest weird dream recently is just like, I want to hold high intensity training classes for dancers like in the park, like once a week. I think that like being a dancer, especially being a dancer out in LA, and like another weird dream of mine that I've always had is like I want to start this like night of dinners in my house where we sit down and we talk about various topics that have nothing to do with dance, honestly, that talk more about mental health. Just because like I feel like as dancers, like sometimes we just get so caught up in the world of just like auditioning and making the job and getting to the next thing and this and the third, that it's just we almost feel like these like robots. Again, that's why like I do, back to that classes thing, like I'll also make sure I take a class that's just like fun.
Yeah.
Because I just want to have a good time and remember that I like to dance because I love it, but like also just giving outlets to dancers and people to just be in community that just doesn't have to do with dance for a second. Maybe that will be like just doing a workout class and like dying together, especially because we know we have to be on top of our bodies. That's our instrument. It's a pain in the butt to go to the gym sometimes by yourself. I know that's how I got into fitness, was like doing high intensity training at a HIIT gym. Shout out to Chewy, with just a group of people from all different backgrounds, like old people and firefighters and like dancers and this, and we would just laugh and like die together. And I just remember being like, one day I want to recreate this for whatever community, and I want to also just create spaces for people and for dancers to be able to talk about challenges of our mind and just feel like we can release and get things off of our shoulders and laugh together and have conversations that we're all going through and pray together and eat together and just like, so yeah, that's kind of like my focus right now.
Would you say that working on your fitness is that a song? That's a song?
What? Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Yes, you have. Freakalicious. I'll be up in the gym just working. Okay.
No, I never heard it. But would you say that working on your fitness, it like has improved your dance ability?
Has improved my dance ability? Hell yeah. I definitely think so, for sure. Like, cardio in general, just like, there'd be a time, like, when I have to train for something specific, that's what I love about fitness, is they definitely go hand in hand. Like, I remember for Sierra, when we had to do like 2 5 to 6 minute pieces, I was like, I have no stamina. So I was like, so I had to get on a treadmill, doing like long interval running, and just like, and then at the time I was doing just like high intensity training to just train my body again to be moving quickly and agile, like in like an agile type state, to prepare myself for this. So I was like, I was getting up in the morning, working around, doing that to prepare myself for this. Heels, like I'm constantly training my legs because like to build quads, it takes the pressure off my knees. So when we have to get down to the ground fast and get up and do these different things, like fitness has helped me in that way. And again, you gotta look good on these jobs, so you can. It's like, or not even good on these jobs. You have to be healthy enough to withstand the capacity of what you have to do.
I feel that. Okay. You mentioned that you work for Sierra. I forgot about that. You also, I forgot. Hold on. Let's go through some of your accolades, because that's crazy. I just, no. I just realized that you also did Super Bowl. Was that last year? No. It was the year before last year.
Yeah.
Amari did last year.
Correct.
Okay. Then you was in an Iggy video.
Iggy video, I think, came first.
Iggy Azalea video. And then, also Sierra. But then you actually have done some really cool stuff. Like,
yeah, it's been fun. Is it paying the bill? No, just kidding. No, it's been amazing. I've been very, 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 very thankful for the stages and the places that dance has brought me to. It's all been fun. It's all been challenging. It's all been beautiful.
Yeah.
It's all been hard. It's all been everything. It's awesome.
Okay. Well, I'm proud of you. Just so you know, I am proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I remember when you first moved to LA, I think something that you told me is like that your Instagram or social media is very like important out there when it comes to getting jobs and like I remember you changed your name. Your name used to be something different. Your Instagram name used to be
Footsie 108, and it wasn't even spelled footsie the way that like you're supposed to spell footsie. It was spelled like FOOTSEE. But that has a background in itself.
It does.
So,
but like that's a long time ago for one. But like to think about how important your social media is just like it's more to it than being, good. You have to kind of present yourself in a professional way.
Right.
But can you like go more in depth on that?
Okay, so I definitely learned this lesson coming out of pandemic. So like I literally moved to LA, trained for a year, things were going good. And then pandemic hit and I literally feel like everything I did to get to the point, like I'd been wiped off the face of the earth and I had to start over again and rebuild like who I was. So in pandemic, I just like trained with Amari. And when I had gotten out, my skills were still sharp, but like the business side of it, I was completely clueless. And I was so grateful to Tia Rivera for doing the Breakthrough Bootcamp. Shout out to BTV. I feel like I'm like giving 1,000 shout outs. Because she and that program, and she taught me how to sharpen your business and your brand side of it. And she kind of asked us, like, when I come to your page, what do you want your page to say? Like, what kind of jobs do you want to book? And when people go to your page, can they see that immediately? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, so I started to get more intentional about the way that I was like, posting a picture and then posting a dance video and making sure that like, because a lot of times you have like, here's a picture of a dog and here's a picture of this. So you have like 7 pictures of like all these different things going on in your life. So someone's trying to come and see like, can I book her for whatever, this year of whatever, and being like, we don't even know if she dances. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, getting your headshots together, at least getting pictures that represent you in the light that you want to be represented for these specific jobs. Because what she was just teaching us was that, like, this is still a business. And when you're being booked for a job, you're still, like, you're a brand. Like, you're a product. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you fit the mold of what we're trying to sell? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're trying to sell sexy Latinas, can I go to your page and be like, okay, I can see it. You know what I'm saying? Or, like, am I always... I don't want to go further in detail of how I wouldn't with the part, you know what I'm saying? But just saying, because I don't want it seem like I'm throwing shade or tea anyway. But like, or some people are like, they want to get booked for more like, say you want to get booked for more like Sean Bankhead stuff or whatever. And it's like, are you doing these challenges? Are you staying up to date with this style of choreography? Like, is your page helping you? Because the truth of the matter is, social media is one of the most commonly used tools for people to see what you look like. I mean, I've been in auditions where I've seen people at the audition table, you're like, dang, she's fire. And they're like, yeah, this is her headshot and this is her resume. And they're like, yeah, just pull up her IG. Oh. Like right then and there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've been on jobs where the choreographer, like Charm, like she would be like, I'm looking for girls. Can you guys just send me some Instagram pages that you think might fit the job? You know, so it's like you never know, like, what's happening. My first job that I ever got booked on was for Sierra for the VMAs, I think it was. Amari was choreographing it. And she submitted me, like, they needed 5 Latinas, and I don't know why I said Latina like that. Please forgive me.
You said it like an American.
Latinas.
Latina Turners.
And she was just like, cool. So she submitted me, and they immediately, she told me that, like, Sierra had to see my page, Jamaica Craft had to see my page, Hi-Hat had to see my page. Amari already submitted me, you know what I'm saying? So to see that those 3 important people were seeing my page really made me be like, oh snap, like, I need to be really conscious of how I'm, like, putting myself out there. So yeah.
Go check her out on Instagram. Make sure you go follow her and see all the cool things that she's doing. Like
in like an Instagram like mind F right now. I've been like kind of putting it to the side.
Oh, Go ahead, keep going.
It's just been stressing me out.
Oh.
And like I've experienced so much life, like, and I just like I want to post about this, especially being on tour. Like you're always in a different city, and you're just like I want to post about this, but I don't want to have like all of this just like European content, you know. So
I see what you mean.
if you could go to any city in the whole entire world, where would you go?
If I could go to any city in the world,
Yeah.
like probably like Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo.
Nice.
After that, New York.
Fire. They're like the same thing, but like no, they're not. That was silly.
I see.
But, like,
I see.
busy
No, no. I
cities, like, you know what I'm
see.
saying?
I see why you said that.
Like in
no.
a way, I feel like London like felt very much like New York, so it's just like
Okay.
it's very like booming city is life.
And like buildings everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want because I've never been in an environment like that.
Yeah.
So
New York and Tokyo are not the same, guys. Why Tokyo and New York?
why? For the exact same reason that we just said. Basically, I don't know. I just want to see a different city that looks opposite from Florida because
Oh.
I've only been to like Florida, LA, Atlanta,
Yeah.
but not New York.
Yeah.
Like New York is like,
It's its own culture.
yeah. So I definitely gotta go. It's just to be surrounded by all these skyscrapers and buildings and stuff like that. Like no trees,
I just want to be somewhere with no trees.
no trees, but not because of I hate nature. No, and then I don't know. Like, I feel like Japan, Tokyo. Like who doesn't want to go there?
I feel like something me and my friends discuss is like every guy wants to go to Tokyo. Every time I say like I ask a guy like, oh, like where's somewhere you always wanted to go? They always say Tokyo. Like even the guys on tour, they're like, we're just excited for Tokyo. We just want to go to Japan. And I'm like, that's so interesting.
I don't know. So yeah, name one weird fact about yourself that most people don't know.
I always just answer this question. I need to change this, but I can make a guinea pig noise with my throat, which I still say that. I don't even know if I can do that anymore.
No, I need you to say that louder. You said you can do what?
I can make a guinea pig noise with my throat.
Are you about to do it?
I don't know. Is that what's up?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? I have to go into this mic.
Yeah.
And that's showbiz, baby.
How did you find out you could do that?
I don't know. I was like really young, and my friend had a pet guinea pig, and it made the noise, and then I just made that noise back. And
was
that's
talking
like,
to him?
yeah. So I had a whole Wild Thornberry moment.
Okay, Dr. Doolittle. So with you being in LA for this long,
Wow. Sorry, I just had my own realization for so long.
The question was, with you being in LA for so long, like, that's where a lot of celebrities come from. Like, do you get starstruck with anyone? Like,
Starstruck?
yeah. Like, is there any person that would make you be like, whoa?
Would there be a person that would make me be like, whoa?
Yeah, like, or has
Was
there
there?
been? Both.
Oh.
Like, if I seen Dave Chappelle, I'd be like, yo.
One time there was a time that I worked at Trader Joe's, just, you know, there you go. And Chris Rock was in the store, and he asked me, like, if I could check him out at the checkout, but I wasn't working the checkout, and I thought he was just a random guy. So he was just like, hey, can you? And I was like, sorry, like, I'm not working the checkout. And then I realized it was Chris Rock, and I was like, but he can help you, sir. Like, I pointed to my friend. So he was like, oh, okay. But like, you know, like the way that Chris Rock came up to me, like he was like, excuse me. Like it was very like right here. And I was just like, so I don't know.
You didn't process
I was
it.
like, why is this man in my face? Like you could have asked me that from here. And then I realized who it was. So he turns to like go get checked out by my friend. And my friend's like, and I was like, I was like, kill me. Like I was like, it's Chris Rock. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Chris Rock. Like it just all happened so fast. But yeah, I was pretty starstruck to see Chris Rock because I mean, it's Chris Rock. I love Chris Rock, even if he got slapped in the face. Sorry. And this is actually right after that happened too. So I almost wanted to be
You
like,
should have been like, are you good?
are you okay?
Are you...
So sorry that happened.
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Well, that comes full circle. You're like, yo, I was there behind stage. Like,
Everything. I wanted to say all of it, but it was all inappropriate.
oh yeah, for sure,
And,
definitely.
Yeah. And I would have probably lost my job. So I would have been that.
All right, guys, that is another episode of Not a Podcast.
Podcast.
Alex, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you
Did I
guys.
go to this one or this one?
Whichever one looks